Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have been out for a while now. Since their release, I've basically been playing nothing but these games, and damn, it feels weird to be a Pokemon fan. On one hand, these games are some of the most fun I've had with a Pokemon game in quite a long time, and on the other hand, yeah, let's talk about this. Oh, and if you find yourself enjoying this video, be sure to subscribe. Thanks. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet act as our introduction to Paldea, and arguably our first real open-world Pokemon experience. I mean, this game essentially has everything you would in an open-world game. Collectibles sprinkled everywhere, scattered objectives that definitely don't have a set order, and of course, cooking. I mainly joke, but it is true that the core gameplay loops of Scarlet and Violet don't involve the traditional route formula that past Pokemon games would have accustomed you to. In fact, this game offers 3 separate paths that you're capable of challenging and experiencing at your own pace, but it is important to note that there is no level scaling for bosses, meaning that if you do end up challenging these objectives in the order that you so please, there's a chance that you find yourself vastly under or overleveled. Another huge aspect of Pokemon games is character design, and I plan on making a larger video talking about all the new Paldean Pokemon, but in regards to regions as a whole, I would place Paldea pretty highly for how good and interesting this region's designs are, in terms of uniqueness and appeal. In terms of actual narrative characters, Scarlet and Violet are really doing it for me. I can't think of a single character that really stood out as abysmal or annoying. Since it might come up, I should also mention I did actually really like Nimona, both from a design and a writing standpoint. I think she's just the right amount of pushy and driven as a rival for me, but I'm not too surprised since I am also a vehement hop defender. I also can't deny my monkey brain that lights up every time I see one of the many delicious designs of characters like Miriam, Rika, Dendra, and Zuimama. Unexpectedly, this game was also a genuine challenge at times. Each boss definitely gave me a run for my money, and it helped enrich my adventure across the game. I've begun playing more modern Pokemon games with a sort of 10-man squad, rotating in and out new Pokemon for a chance to experience some new additions. The side effect of this being I never ran the risk of overleveling my opponents. It also helps that each of the 3 main story paths have different style of boss fights, leading to ample opportunity for experimentation and challenge. Scarlet and Violet also do a lot to challenge the traditional formula of past Pokemon games. I've mentioned it a few times already, but this game's 3 paths definitely give you a different sense of freedom than you may be used to. Although you still need to complete all the paths to really experience the game, being able to pick and choose what you'd like to do opens up a good amount of replayability, and I'm interested in seeing how people choose to play this game going forward. Convenience is both being nurtured and destroyed, with mechanics like mobile boxes and auto-healing making an appearance, but in some bizarre decision, set mode was removed, which is annoying, but ultimately not a real problem. Traders are all completely optional outside of story-related fights, meaning you could technically treat these games as a boss rush, which I think is kind of awesome for a Pokemon game. Definitely makes challenge runs a lot more manageable. Now, let's talk about the Copperajah in the room. This game has a few issues. Only a couple, really. Super minor, in fact. Barely even noticeable. Scarlet and Violet are plagued with framerate issues, clipping, and a general lack of polish, to put it lightly. To be perfectly honest, through my entire 25+ hour playthrough, I didn't encounter any truly experience-breaking bugs or issues, but the compounding of all these smaller issues that one would hope would be ironed out in development definitely hurts these games in a major way. Dashing through a new area and feeling your game chug is always a sad experience, even more so in a game like Scarlet and Violet, where exploration and traversal is key. The textures in a lot of places are also not indicative that this game is part of quite literally the biggest gaming franchise in the world. I don't want to hear any goblins in the comments complaining that, oh, the Switch isn't built for good looking games. Don't you dare say that when games like this, and this exist. Stylization is a real concept, and it's the reason these games look so great. I'm not asking for Pokemon to look hyper-realistic or have a million polygons per model. We saw the signs with Sword and Shield, but I really didn't anticipate it being this much of a problem. Now, I could go on and on about how upsetting it is that this game does run and look poor in certain scenarios, but the truth is, this was likely the unfortunate result of crunch and a deadline to release the game in order to coincide with larger marketing efforts. Pokemon is a massive franchise that needs to manage toys, merch, the TCG, the anime, and more, so the release of these games coming when expected is sadly out of the developer's control. Some more time in the oven and this game would have been cooked to perfection, but as it is now, these issues really do hold Scarlet and Violet back from being an incredible game. I hope we get to see some sort of future patch to at least address some of these problems, but who knows. That all being said, I do think that in-battle animations and specifically Pokemon models and textures are actually really pleasant. Something that wasn't as pleasant was the story. In fact, the story for this game was knock my socks off incredible. I'll be the first to admit that in terms of depth, it pales in comparison to something like your Xenoblade Chronicles, and maybe I'm picking at scraps here, but I really love the narrative focus in Scarlet and Violet. Each primary path has their own contained storyline and characters that culminate in one of my all-time favorite final acts in any Pokemon game ever. Without spoilers, the final boss and endings to this game left me completely shocked and awe, and it's been on my mind since beating the game. Victory Road was the weakest of the three for me, but it supplements its story with a lot of interesting recurring characters that help invest you into its path. Operation Starfall was extremely fun to me and surprisingly had way more emotional payoff than I was expecting, and the Path of Legends is just such a sweet storyline that you can't help but root for Arven in the end. If Pokemon Legends Arceus was a 20-meter sprint, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet feels more like a marathon with the occasional stumble. Despite their downsides, these games have a lot of good things going for them, and you can definitely feel the new direction that the series seems to be taking. I, for one, am excited to see what comes next, either in the form of DLC, a new generation, or more spin-offs. Whilst weighed down by its performance issues, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet offer countless hours of gameplay, fantastic writing and design, and a genuinely good time for any Pokemon fan. In my books, it's an easy 8, but just know that if this game receives a bit more tender love and care, that score easily shoots up to a 9. Oh, and this game has Clodsire, so it's automatically Game of the Year. Big thank you to those who watched this video all the way through. I don't do these review type of videos all that often. I did do one for Pokemon Legends Arceus and I enjoyed it a bit and it helped me express my thoughts about the game, which is something I really like doing. I really like to share my opinions and share my enjoyment of games with other people, and hopefully they can share that enjoyment back. So, that being said, if you did or didn't like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, let me know down below. I would love to hear some other opinions. Me, myself, personally, I've been playing this game constantly. It's probably going to become my favorite Pokemon games of all time. It might edge out Black and White, I don't know. I'd probably have to go back and play them a little bit. Like I said before, please be sure to subscribe, like the video, let me know if I'm doing things good or bad. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good night. I love you guys.